Hello, we're back, and I'm so curious how everybody is feeling. Truly, share with me in the comments how you have been processing in these energies because currently we are in the midst of a collective upgrade, but in tandem with the upgrades comes the purge, the purification. So we are going through a collective purge, as I called it, a collective exorcism. And I had to start over because I started cracking up for some reason when I was about to say that, the first attempt at recording. And yeah, I think it's just because it's almost comical, the amount of collective baggage and heaviness. It's like at a certain point, all you can do is laugh because it's like we have been going through this process and the collective upheaval. I'm not even paying so much attention lately. Like I see a little bit here and there about what's going on in the collective, but what we're going through is very evident energetically, emotionally. We are going through a pain body healing. It is a pain body purge and a light body purification. And again, part of that process of purification is the purge, is the exorcism. And we are getting into some of the densest, darkest layers of the collective consciousness. So we balance it out with a lot of compassion and grace. And if you've been going through it, I'm sending you a lot of love. And I'm just sending a massive amount of love to the collective right now because a lot of people really need it because it's been really challenging. I myself have been going through it as I have been anchoring the cosmic womb. It's an initiation for myself to bring through the frequencies for the container. I have to prepare my own vessel, and I have the vision, the intention, the guidance, the intuition to hold these containers. And every time I do so, I go through my own upgrade, initiation, activation in order to bring through the level of frequency that is being guided. So welcome or welcome back to the Heart of Truth podcast. And by the way, happy Thanksgiving to those who are celebrating this week. Thanksgiving is in just a couple days from when this episode is released. So if you are with your loved ones celebrating, use this as an opportunity to get grounded and anchored in gratitude. It's a beautiful reminder, as commercialized and distorted as our societal cultural holidays may have gotten, there's always a kernel of beauty and truth that we can reconnect with. And this is part of the reclamation, in my humble opinion. So, so, yes, use this opportunity to get into that state of gratitude, which helps us to remember what this journey is all about, that we are experiencing the beauty and magic of this beautiful, magical playground called Earth through this miraculous vessel of our body temple, as challenging as it may get at certain points along the way. The light of hope is always there to keep guiding us forward through faith. We will get there, I promise you. And it's like this, right? We're riding the waves, and we also are here to remember to have fun and incorporate joy and laughter as we ride these crazy waves, right? So, we're going to get into this episode of the pain, like getting into what is the pain body, what is really going on when our body is processing these energies. And this is a bit of a follow-up on the previous episode where I got a little nerdy and talked about the biology of cellular transformation and embodied ascension. And we're going to take this another layer deeper. And the next episode, we're going to take it another layer deeper, or perhaps a level higher is a way to look at it. So I will give you the teaser at the end of this episode. But yeah, so let's get into some of the symptoms and, why we're going through these purges, what's really going on, the biological process behind the pain body healing, and, reminder that it's collective, not just personal, right? and how it's actually happening. So there's a huge purpose behind all of this, right? And sometimes it's helpful to have this reminder, we are not regressing. We're actually going another layer deeper, right? It's density that's been held for lifetimes. So take heart. And again, welcome or welcome back. And if you are new, my name is Amanda. I often forget to introduce myself because I want to just get right into the juice. But I am an oracle and a multi-dimensional healer, a source light healer. I don't even like the word healer, but I work in the field and I do activations, and higher self-embodiment is the ultimate name of the game here. So everything that I bring through and discuss here on the Heart of Truth is really an attempt to bring us deeper into our core essence that is truth that resides within the heart. So, collective exorcism, what is really going on right now, right? So we're going through, again, at the collective level, a collective pain body purge. And it's happening in the sacral, the womb, the low gut, in our personal physical vessels. The solar plexus is getting a massive upgrade. I had a headache on Friday, and even just like for a flash moment today, earlier, not even an hour ago, I had a little bit of pressure in my head, and I am not one to get headaches. Don't hate me, but can count on maybe on two hands at this point. But in my entire life, the amount of times I've gotten a headache, I can count on two hands, less than two hands. And I had a pretty big one on Friday. So, anytime I get a headache, I'm like, ooh, what's going on? Because it's very rare for me. And I very much feel that there is some clearing, and I have some physical evidence that I think fortunately is not picking up right now, but right around the third eye area. It's not super obvious, but evidence that my body is purging at a physical level. And then yesterday, I experienced very intense stomach issues. And again, I'm hosting this, or pain, I should say, not issues, just straight pain. And I'm hosting the Cosmic Womb, and I'm not surprised that I'm experiencing this. And I have the tools and the processes and the awareness to move through these energies, right? Um, but last year I had a similar experience, so I almost wasn't surprised at all because I'm bringing through another activation on Tuesday, and last Wednesday we did the womb healing, and I was guided to hold this container during this time. It was very clear guidance of the precision for this container, the timing and the precision. And so, I'm not surprised that it is fully in tandem with the collective energies, because we are going through massive cellular level clearing on the collective level, as well as our personal vessels, of course. So why is it happening now? Well, we're experiencing loads of solar plasma energies coming into the planet. And as I have been speaking into over the last couple months here and there, we have to make room. There's like this compression energy as the light frequencies want to anchor, and our body has to make space. As we integrate the light, light is a frequency of expansion. Light is a frequency of abundance. So it's going to force us to purge, to clear the space for that frequency of expansion, for that frequency of abundance to anchor into our vessel, to anchor into ourselves. And what is a collective programming? It's basically the opposite. It is lack, it is fear, it is constriction in our cells. And so this plasma coming into our body is bringing this upgrade energy on a literal physical level. And so as we purge, we experience those detox symptoms. We experience the old emotions and the karmic patterns perhaps surfacing. We get the reflections in our reality, perhaps through karmic situations or energetic, emotional, psychological experience, mental patterns coming up, those old loops or those feelings of, unworthiness, not good enough, imposter syndrome coming up, right? So this is all coming up final integration, transmutation, clearing, so that we can recognize the wisdom in those experiences and integrate the magic that is also contained, right? This is the process of ascension. And remember, it happens in waves. We go layers deeper as more is accessible to us. I had very, very clear visuals coming through last night. And it felt like it was, in fact, reflective of a third eye upgrade that I was experiencing. What were we not allowing ourselves to see before, for example, is something that might be, a little bit of inquiry for people right now. What have we been unwilling or not ready to face, to embrace, to integrate? And we also get to remember that, when we move through it, it's not fun in the moment. But the other side, we feel lighter, and it doesn't have to be a long, drawn out process. When we purge, it might feel kind of yucky in the moment, but sometimes the tears only need a few minutes to flow. And it might sound trite on a certain level, but it's like the body just wants to get it out. It wants to clear that energy, and it might feel really deep and intense for a few moments, and then it subsides, right? So, if we can ride the waves, if we can support our physical vessel as we go through these clearings, the higher and higher we will rise in our frequency, and we'll remember that frequency of joy, and we'll remember what this journey is all about. And it's so much bigger than us, too, right? So, getting into it after that whole spiel, what is the pain body? Pain body is not a physical like aspect of our body per se, but it is an energetic layer. So it is not just trauma, it is not just emotion, it is the energetic psycho emotional residue that we hold on to, that is residue of unprocessed emotions and density, ancestral miasma and residue. So perhaps we're getting clear awareness on the ancestral patterns going back through the lineage, what our father, what our mother's lineage might have, brought down, what they held in their bodies that they were unable to process. So stored trauma, personal, ancestral, and collective, even if you have that kind of contract where you're clearing, transmuting, purging, not just for yourself, not just for your lineage, but also from the grids for the entire collective consciousness. Suppressed instinctual responses may be part of the pain body. Emotional imprints held in the body, especially the fascia and denser organs. So, we talk about the liver holding anger, the lungs holding grief, the hips holding a lot of stuck unprocessed emotions, as well as the digestive tract. So if people are experiencing digestive issues, it's processing those unprocessed, stuck, very deep, very dense emotions. So unmetabolized energetic debris in the subtle body is part of the pain body. So it's kind of like this stored charge. It's like unreleased, unexpressed emotion. And it's like holding on to this energy that it's actually creating a block for the energetic flow, right? So it's blocked life force as well. And then any phantom matrix entanglements can be part of the pain body. So what is a phantom matrix entanglement? It's basically like you can think of it in a simple term like karmic shadows that are keeping like cords and things like that to people that are not of the highest timeline. We don't need to go super deep into the Phantom Matrix right now, but at the end of the day, it's like think of the cords, the energetic entanglements that are unresolved between past lovers, relationships, situations, that kind of thing. So it kind of forms this energetic mass that reacts. It gets triggered during this ascension process, during these phases of ascension. We experience the mirrors, the triggers, and that reaction energy is actually showing us where we're still holding on to stuff in the pain body, to this residue, right? So it's not the ego. It's similar. It's kind of like, the shadows of the ego are kind of connected to the pain body, but it's not the same as the ego. It's the emotional residue of the ego identity that is unprocessed. So the ego is the identity architecture, and the pain body is the emotional, energetic residue of unprocessed stuff that the ego hasn't grappled with. So, getting into that idea of ego death, right? The dark night of the soul. This is why we often go through multiple dark nights of the soul, because we go through multiple initiations, multiple rebirths as our vessel is integrating higher frequency light codes. You're ready for more? Great. Let's clear another layer to integrate more of your higher self. So, ego death is more of like this, like, really profound moment where it's like you hit rock bottom, you get that diagnosis, you lose the job, the family, the car, the everything all at once, the house, right? Or a serious identity crisis, that kind of thing. The ego dissolution is this more fluid process as the plasma and light codes anchor, as more and more light anchors. It's this kind of, it's a subtly more gentle, perhaps, but it's more ongoing in a way. It's like, why am I not done yet? I've been doing this for months, for years, maybe, right? Well, this is why. It's because we're holding on to so much as humans in these dense bodies. And so we are, in the process of preparing our vessels for the next leap in evolution, in the evolution of our consciousness. But it's not just consciousness, it's also the physical vessels that are being upgraded. So why are we going through? I'm just going to have a sip of water without pausing. Why is the sacral, the womb, gut purging right now? It's because they're the primary storage vaults for the density, the unprocessed emotions. The digestive system processes everything that we take in, right? And it's how we clear all the stuff, all the waste, right? It's where the waste is processed, where the food, we take out what's good, and then the waste, the stuff that our body doesn't want to take in, it's processed, broken down, metabolized, and then eliminated. Well, what happens when the elimination gets kind of backed up, or it's not flowing properly, right? Well, it gets stuck. And so when we're not digesting, when we're not processing our emotions, it's the same thing. And so often it's that emotional density, that stuckness, that even contributes to the digestive issues themselves, because the energetics are blocking the proper functioning of the cells, right? So if our creative and life force energy is stuck, if it's blocked, if it's not flowing in optimal form, then, this is where we kind of experience that stuckness. So the digestive system controls emotional digestion, our shadow integration, the creative and life force energy, inner child wound processing, ancestral trauma, especially of the feminine type. Fear, shame, betrayal, these are big ones that get processed by this area, and big ones that are coming up in the collective right now, especially that betrayal and abandonment energy was a specific one that I was shown last night. So, this safety energy is also here because it's very close to the root. It's connected to the root, which is right at the base, basically, of the elimination process, right? So if we don't feel safe to let go, then, it's something about not feeling safe in the body. So I am safe to exist. If that imprint is distorted and you don't feel safe, there can be this clinging energy. karmic memory loops can get stored here, and just general collective feminine distortion fields are very much in this area of the body because the womb is right there too. The womb sacral area, obviously, very, very connected. So when higher frequency plasma light enters, it basically pressurizes the system, it compresses the system, particularly the lower chakras that hold a lot of that old energy. So it can actually manifest as nausea, as well as just kind of general digestive turbulence, cramping, sacral kind of sensations or heat. You might experience heat in the body, womb contractions, even lower back pain, lower back aching. The hip energies, if you have any density in the hip region, anywhere around the sacral bone, that might get activated, right? Emotional volatility might be a symptom as well as waves of grief or anger, and they don't really have a clear cause, a clear root. So that is the density flushing, basically. So part of it is to assist and allow and rest and ground and do whatever you can to assist the digestive tract in a physical manner, but also knowing that it is energetic and emotional in nature, sometimes it requires more of an energetic assistance. So actually, my golden honey Christ light bath meditation would be great for this, and the daily clearing process. I've gotten great feedback about those two in tandem. So I'll link them there down below, but it's also inside the inner temple where you get access to all the other foundational tools, including breath work and, navigating how to optimize the body temple as part of luminary foundations. I cover the gamut in luminary foundations, and then the other courses kind of help to, go deeper into like breath work and awakening fundamentals and a few other things like that. So, the biological process that is occurring when the pain body is healing itself is that so we have the light codes entering through the crown typically, right? And so again, it's that compression energy that is forcing it down, like a flushing of the field, which is why that Christ light bath is great because it actually is kind of this anchoring and a gentle, soft, nourishing flushing of the system, of the nervous system. And then as the energy flushes, the sacral digests it, it processes it, and the cells detox down to the mitochondrial level. So the ego then kind of gets a little destabilized in this process because this will also kick up survival fear, survival patterns. So this is what is coming up in the general collective as people are seeking a savior as well, because everything is feeling destabilized in the collective systems and structures as well, obviously. But that is part of the lesson, not giving our power away to these external systems, structures, authorities, to take our authority back within, to take responsibility for our life. And so, the politicians are the same as the gurus, right? We're giving our power away and pedestalizing and outsourcing the solutions to individuals. It doesn't matter what system of political governance it is. If you're giving your ultimate power and authority over your life to these individuals in government, like that is not the answer. And I think that is the collective lesson that a lot of people are grappling with right now, and they don't know really how to. But yeah, so we're seeing this as within, so without, right? So these light codes are also activating dormant DNA. So people talk about the 12-stranded DNA and stuff like that. It's also going to help the DNA re-encode as the density. It's like, think about like light, like a white webbing and dark kind of goo and webbing wrapped around the DNA. Like that stuff is clearing out when the light enters. So the nervous system then has to process all the energy. It kind of is like a temporary overload, the overwhelm. And so the system is being squeezed so that density rises to the surface to be cleared. So the emotional body is also being forced to metabolize all this old material. So the old timelines, old identities, old wounds, there's no space for them to coexist with the new frequencies because they're not in alignment. We talk about alignment. Well, this isn't so intangible when you talk about the level of density and old emotions that the body is holding on to. So the body will purge in physical manners, like through sweating, tears, dreams, even to like witness that what needs to be processed, literal bowel movements, menstrual cramping. So cycles might be heavier or more intense for women of late. And I know that for a fact, based on feedback from many women. So this is a collective thing that is occurring in many women, depending. But yeah, spontaneous shaking as the nervous system recalibrates and clears, and emotional eruptions as well. So there might be a little bit of that reactivity coming up. So there's like this repatterning of the gut brain axis that is going on as well, because the gut and the brain are obviously very linked through the enteric nervous system, the vagus nerves, but the enteric nervous system is the second brain and it holds those trauma patterns. So as the light integrates, this axis rewires, and people are experiencing increased intuition, increased emotional regulation, clearer boundaries, the ability to hold those boundaries firm, deeper womb connection, and that more stable nervous system, the ability to hold the frequency of peace is how it's coming through right now. So, as we integrate that energy, everything that is not that energy, we are feeling it all, right? So, again, not personal. It is very much a collective process between the solar plasma codes and, Three Eye Atlas brings in a lot of the plasma energies. A lot of people are saying that this was, a boost sent to assist humanity's collective awakening at this very, very precise time. And Three Eye Atlas, it makes its closest approach to Earth on December 19th, just prior to the winter solstice. So these energies are going to continue over the coming weeks, and we're going to keep integrating. And then by 2026, that's a 10-year. 10-year is completion. 9 is the snake, it's the shedding. Next year is the horse. And I don't know too much about the horse, but I think it's like, more of this go energy, business is going to be blessed, especially new business in the coming year. So the higher frequencies destabilize that emotional density, and it shakes it loose is one way to look at it. As well as the solar plasma, the solar currents, we also have the Holy Mother Aqua Sophianic currents coming through. So it's this starry night energy as well that I have been working with for the course. The starry night firmament is how it's called in certain perspectives. So these energies are specifically connected to womb clearing, feminine line repair, the feminine energy repair. So feminine line, I meant like the ancestral lineage, but also the feminine current within all of us, the masculine and the feminine within all. Sacral reclamation is a huge part of this energy as the Holy Mother anchors, as well as transmutation of all sexual distortion, all sexual misery programs and such. So the ancestral maternal lineage healing is really coming up to the fore, the mother, the grandmother, through the whole lineage, right? So thinking about your mother's ancestral line, where her heritage is, that might be coming up to the surface for you to examine. Was there collective trauma in that field? Irish lineage, for example, holds a lot of that famine energy, that persecution energy, but it goes deeper because it was really more of a genocide. So there's a lot of layers, and you go deeper into the older Celtic lineages. That persecution has been happening for millennia as well. So when you start to really connect with your ancestral roots, this is part of the reason for the global diaspora and why so many of us like are disconnected from beyond our beyond for a lot of people, even the grandparents, the great grandparents, like we know very little about, or the great great grandparents. Why have we become so disconnected from our lineages, collectively speaking? It's just something to ponder. And then, as these higher timelines are converging, there's this harmonic convergence energy going on, right? We have to clear the collective pain body because that is not an energetic resonance with these higher frequencies. New Earth is not about pain and suffering and war consciousness and separation and blame and shame and all of that, right? So all of that has to come up and out to be cleared. So the shadow feminine can actually assist us in the sense in working with the restoration. So really looking at the archetypes and how they might be playing out in the personal field as well as the collective or perhaps the ancestral lineage. So dark mother wounds, any Lilith, Jezebel distortions, sacral shame, so any frequency of shame around sexuality, sensuality, pleasure, that kind of thing, any persecution imprints, relationship trauma, sexual energy harvesting, that kind of thing. So really getting clear with self on that. And this is, a lot of what we do in the crystalline womb sessions, the one-on-one sessions that I host is a lot of that. And very specific things will come up. But yeah, it's clearing out dark mother, fallen masculine, and all of the energetic imprints, and it can go into past life, right? So how does pain body healing actually happen? So we've got the physical clearing, the emotional clearing, the energetic clearing. I've kind of touched on a lot of that of the physical, but I'll just kind of go over some of it again because there's a couple others that I didn't mention, like inflammation and hormonal recalibration as well. And yeah, I think I mentioned everything else: digestive symptoms, heat, purging, and sacral. And then the emotional clearing, grief, rage, hopelessness, abandonment, fear, shame, betrayal, bitterness, unmet needs surfacing. Like it can run the gamut. Think of any low frequency emotion, but those especially. And then the energetic clearing, what does this one look like? Is cords, clearing, dissolving the cords, old timelines collapsing, karmic patterns, like ending those loops, ending the looping cycles, ancestral fields kind of shifting and coming back into the 0 point, the womb grids. We can look at our womb even as a grid. And it's funny, I actually saw a post right before I came to record. Often happens. And she was seeing this very specific kind of crisscross is the word that she used. That was the exact same energy. She was seeing it around the planet. I was seeing it in my womb, but as a representation of the planet last night, not just my own stuff, but it was this kind of crisscross energy kind of covering up goo. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I saw. And then I called in the light to clear to help my womb to process and transmute and everything. And then I started to see this kind of spiral energy. It was really beautiful. And then I won't get into all the details, but she was talking about this spinning energy spinning out the residue. And I was like, holy moly, how beautiful is it that we had almost the exact same visuals coming through? And it was a different process for each of us, but it was also energetically very much the same. So, yeah. So if you're feeling this stuff in your body, like just know that this is very much real. It's a very much physical process, not just conceptual or imagined. You're not making it up, okay? That's what I was trying to come out. So the purpose of pain body healing is obviously, creating that spaciousness to hold the light codes, as I started off saying, and then also to restore safety into the nervous system. And we're really amplifying our intuition, activating that intuitive intelligence as well to another level. So, this is again upgrade energy, as I said before. We're reclaiming our energy as well, energy that is trapped trauma in trauma timelines. This is essentially soul retrieval, which is what I do in my sessions, is another way to look at it. Soul retrieval, taking back aspects of the soul from these trauma timelines where it's stuck, inner child stuff too. Um, but we're restoring as well through this process as we reclaim our energy. We're also reclaiming and restoring our sacral, sexual, life force, creative energy. And we're preparing the vessel, as I said before, for true higher self embodiment, not as just some kind of intangible concept, but literally those higher frequencies aspects of our soul, higher frequency aspects of our soul anchoring into the physical vessel. And so we've got to create that space for those higher frequencies. And again, we're alchemizing shadow into power. It's that wound into wisdom energy, but kind of in a more literal way. And ultimately, this is light body restoration. We're building the crystalline light body bit by bit. We are restoring it, recalibrating, and as we clear the pain body healing is maybe another way, a better way to look at it at some point. Restoring. This is basically like we're exiting the matrix as we do this. We're exiting the matrix mentality programs on an emotional level, at an energetic level. Dissolving the veil was very much in tune with that. So, just to touch on light body restoration really briefly, like what does that actually mean if you're not familiar? So, the 12-strand DNA is getting activated. So, you can look at it as like 12 different consciousness channels as well. They're etheric in nature. But the plasma essence then begins to form. So it's like these crystalline biophotons are integrating into the body. The nervous system becomes a clearer channel, a clearer system for rapid transmission and for integration of higher intelligence. And of course, the density for all of this to happen has to be cleared. If our nervous system isn't recalibrated above all, then we don't have the capacity to hold these higher frequencies. So, this clearing is in essence preparing us for that higher self embodiment. So, when you're carrying all that distortion, noise, that frequency, those looping patterns, you can't hold that clarity. That it's literally a sense of clarity that enters the body. Trauma holds those incompatible frequencies and energies. So purification is really like doesn't matter what phase you look at it as, but it's like essential to embodiment. You can say it's phase one of embodiment, but it's an ongoing process, right? Um, so if you've been experiencing any of the above and really going through it emotionally, energetically, mentally, psychologically, whatever might be coming up for you, just, take heart that you're not alone. It's not just you. And this is very much happening collectively. And it's not regression. It's part of the process. We're recalibrating very high frequency light codes. We're recalibrating to these frequencies. We're integrating them into the body. And in that process of clearing the density, we're not just doing it for ourselves, but we're doing it for lifetimes, for the lineage for many, many timelines, right? So it's not an easy process when you're on this journey, but ultimately it is rewarding because, as we go through these upgrades, we understand that there is a bigger purpose and mission to all of this. And we're playing a role that is far bigger than just us, just this generation, just this timeline. We're seeding this consciousness, this new blueprint. We're anchoring it onto the planet. We're not seeding it, we're anchoring it. And so, just to remember that your biology is really just catching up to your soul incarnated with a very specific purpose and mission to help in this process, in this collective process. And so, feeling worse before you feel better is normal. That's part of detox, that's part of upgrade. And this is that void space. We're kind of in a liminal void space of deep recalibration right now. So a lot of people are feeling it and they're feeling like they have to constantly keep coming back to things that they're creating and upgrading those because we're different than we were a month ago, much less 5, 6, 7 months ago, right? Much less a year ago. So this isn't, I want to also just kind of touch on this real briefly. Psychic attack is real and it's always showing us that there's somewhere to go deeper. But when you experience stuff that makes you go, kind of feel destabilized, it doesn't mean it's a psychic attack, right? Your nervous system might be recalibrating, it might be a little overwhelmed. So we get to have a lot of discernment on this journey and recognition that even the worst of the worst kind of psychic attacks and things like that, they bring us deeper into ourselves to access another core layer of our power, our gifts, our magic. So even if that is something that you're experiencing right now, you're not alone. There is support out there, number one. Number two, there is hope and there is a blessing on the other side of this. Truly, truly. So for the next episode, we're emptying the vessel during this process. Another way to look at it is we're clearing out the chalice, we're polishing it up. And then once the temple is purified, once the vessel is clear, then it's, the question is, okay, who is going to enter? What aspect of us, what version of us is going to embody this temple? So, in the next episode, we're going to be looking at building the body temple. And there's going to be a very specific, framework around that too. So, I'm very excited for that. And I'm also very excited to share that the entire architecture for what's coming next anchored for me over the weekend. So I will be hosting a brand new masterclass. I thought it was going to be an upgraded version of my former masterclass, but it became clear that this is an entire new masterclass that is going to come through on 111. We love those aligned numbers, but also practically, yeah, I've got to get through winter solstice with cosmic womb, and then it's the holidays. And it's a Sunday, so it's actually a good day. I think it's a Sunday if I looked at the calendar. So we're going to look at the exact keys to activate the embodiment and the template, whatever template that you're working with, your higher self template. So we're going to look at the keys required, and I'll get deeper into that perhaps at the end of the next episode. But I'm really excited to share about that. The inner temple will give you all of the foundational tools to prepare as well. A lot of activations, new activations have been added, including my signature Golden Keys to Abundance. And I may be increasing the price of the inner temple due to that upgrade. And I don't know. I've been recalibrating because I want it to be such a clear, simple process. And, there's a lot of value in there. So I might be increasing the pricing because of the energetic frequency that is being upgraded inside there. So there's the inner temple one-on-ones if you want support with soul retrieval, crystalline womb restoration, and the upcoming masterclass, as well as the winter solstice activation. That is available as a one-off, as well as part of the inner temple. So there is a lot of magic coming, and very, very likely round 2 of Cosmic Womb in the new year, but a little bit later on in the new year. So that's what's going on in my world, all the upgrades and activations helping me to bring this into form. And yeah, just gosh, what a journey this is, and what an honor it is to be sharing it with you all, walking this journey with you. Again, so appreciate the likes, comments, subscribes. My little podcast, I would love to see it grow, and you guys are the whole reason I'm here. So if this is resonating with you, thank you. Thank you for being here on the journey. And I would so appreciate all the love and support. And oh, a note on my book as well. I am still working on the audiobook. It's not quite ready. I thought it would be ready by now, and there's just been so much else integrating. So it's still coming though. And my hope is that before Christmas it'll be ready to go, ready for purchase. So yeah. 'Cause that book, I've been getting feedback from it, other people, have read it and they're like, wow, this is changing my life, and this feels like a sacred initiation, and really beautiful feedback. So I really appreciate the feedback. But also, yes, I want many more people to have access, because I poured so much that helped me, so many resources, wisdom, things like that into that book, because that's what helped me navigate my journey. So, yes. Thank you once again so much for being here. Onward and upward in love and light. And I will see you in the next episode as we journey home to the heart of truth. Thank you for tuning in to the Heart of Truth podcast with your host, Amanda Erin Kelly. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving a rating or review on your favorite platform. And if you'd like to go deeper, grab your copy of my book, Let There Be Light, and join us inside the free community in Illumina Wisdom School, where you can access free resources to jumpstart your journey, such as a higher self activation and the Body Temple Blueprint Masterclass, as well as explore the plethora of resources, including Awakening Fundamentals and Luminary, my signature path to wholeness and mastery, to help you become your own healer and sovereign authority. You can access everything at thesacrallife.com or find the links down in the show notes below. Until next time, onward and upward in love and light as we journey home to the heart of truth.